everybody.
Hi, everyone.
So welcome back, and thanks for attending Techsylvania. I also want to call out Techsylvania for just a moment. So if you see anybody with the Techsylvania badge on, think of giving them a handshake, a hug, a thank you, because they're a great example of the amplified impact a small group of people can have for good. So we're really grateful for the Techsylvania crew in putting this all together. So we're going to talk about bad days today. Who's had a bad day? Who's
Not
having
today.
a bad day?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Okay, one dude back there, Adrian. All right. So, entrepreneurs can have really bad days that seem really, really dark. And it can be for various reasons, right? A big sale doesn't close or a big customer doesn't renew. Your product crashes, promise you that's going to happen. You might have a partner that goes out of business that was handling distribution or content or technology and leaves you in a big lurch. There can be a key team member that quits or regulatory changes that I've seen change businesses overnight, right? You can raise less capital than maybe you were planning on it or none at all. Or you find that your forecasts and all your assumptions were way too positive, right? And so the thing that's important to remember, though, is this isn't just for entrepreneurs. We're all humans, and this exists in our personal life as well. So you can have dark days with family, with friends, with your career that are unexpected, your health. There are all kinds of things. So these types of unexpected experiences can completely disrupt your joy, right? And they can undermine your confidence. They can undermine your self-esteem. They can even cause you to think, I can't even move forward at the same speed or the same sort of angle that I was before. And I think it's important to remember the reality that some of the things I've talked about will happen. Maybe all of them will happen, and maybe they'll happen more than once. And so we need perspective, but we also need tools to deal with those challenges and to work through them and to emerge at a higher plane on the other side, so to speak. So I'm really honored and grateful to have Adrian here with us today so we can learn from him. And I want to read some of his accomplishments, and we're just skipping rocks along the surface here, but even those are super impressive. So he's got decades of experience in the enterprise software space. He's founded a few companies, exited a couple, and he's currently working on one. So the one he's working on right now is called SurfDancer, which is an AI-driven solution built to eliminate meeting fatigue. I'm already super interested, right? And communication chaos. Yes, please. So SurfDancer helps teams, leaders, and operators generate clear and actionable updates directly in Slack, cutting through the noise, messy tools, and unnecessary calls. So prior to SurfDancer, Adrian had co-founded and led Mirantis, which was a global cloud infrastructure play backed by top-tier investors, and Ford even nominated him as one of the top cloud CEOs in the country or the world. So I would also say, and as it relates to the work that you've done and are doing, perhaps the most important is this guy's the father of 6 wonderful humans that he's raising. So thank you very much for being here. So Adrian, let's start with, entrepreneurs are super multifaceted. Everybody is really, right? But talk about who you are, not what you've done, but who you are. What are you passionate about? What drives you? What's sort of your why? And maybe some of the experiences in your life, whenever that was, that informed the work that you have done.
Yeah. Thanks so much. And by the way, I'm happy to be here, guys. I'm absolutely delighted. Cory hasn't mentioned this, but I'm actually raised in Arad, Romania. I'm born not too far away from here in Alba Iulia. I left in 1984, super long time ago. And this is my first time back since 1989. I couldn't be more excited to be here and connect with all of you guys. So to your questions, what do I appreciate maybe about myself, if I can say that, is I like to get better every day. And I like, if at all possible, the work I do to be as good as or better than anything else of that nature in the world. So that's kind of my personal standard. And sometimes I fail, sometimes I succeed, but whatever I'm after, I'm trying to get it done to a standard that is the very best and maybe better than it's been done before. That's what I'm trying to do. And I'm trying to do that also in a way that is enjoyable for me personally. I don't necessarily believe in a grind. I don't believe in suffering at work. I don't think that that's what leads to the best possible outcomes. So I want to do exceptionally good work, and I want that work to feel great. Maybe that's a simple definition, whether it's in a family. And I also like to have a multifaceted life. So I don't like my life to be just about work or business. I love my family. I love my other activities. So I'm maybe ambitious in that sense that it's not just about business achievement or professional achievement. I'm a bit ambitious in terms of the type of life that I want to have. A rich life, a
Love
happy
that.
life,
Yeah, yeah,
a joyful life.
yeah. Was there anything in your youth or early adulthood that transformative is a big word, but that was influential, perhaps even in changing your course 1% that led you to found some of the companies that you founded or wanted to be an entrepreneur?
Well, quite a few things actually. So even though I lived in and worked in a bunch of different countries around the world, um, and for the past 20 some years in Silicon Valley, my foundation in terms of who I am as a person really started in my earliest days, and I'd say in Arad, Romania. So I started with the water polo coach, with some of the math teachers and the language teachers that I had, with my parents, with my friends, with the activities we did together. I was lucky to grow up in a, I think, very loving family and in a very loving community that was like engaged and rich and had fun, and there was a lot of confidence and joy for life. I think that's really what gave me the foundation for everything else. And I will say that the standards that I experienced in my early growing up really laid the foundation for everything. Nothing felt more challenging than that. I mean, let me put it this way.
Yeah,
So
totally.
it's prepared me well.
Totally
I
makes
think.
sense. So speaking of challenges, some of the challenges I mentioned on the front end, which are just a small subset of
Yeah.
challenges that we can and do experience in life, you've called in some of our previous conversations novelty. And that's not something you hear or challenges referenced as that often. Talk to us about what you mean by that and how'd you sort of land on this as novelty?
Well, I believe that all progress in the world, like human progress, comes from novelty. It comes from change. And it's really in dealing with novelty and creating novelty, whether it's a new approach or change, that's where the learning happens. That's where the switch happens. There is a difference between the past and the future when you do something in a new and different way. So that's why I think novelty and how we deal with novelty, and novelty by definition is unexpected. It's because it's new, right? You don't really anticipate it. You haven't seen it before.
Right.
And that's what creates kind of this magical moment of learning and progress that I think everything in the world is built on. I mean, it's art, science, it's all about that change, that novelty, the unexpected.
Yeah, I love that.
And definitely for entrepreneurs, that's what we deal with every day.
Yeah, that's a very positive outlook on that sort of thing. And also, adversity. You've talked about adversity and embracing it, where I feel like a lot of people would see adversity and run, right? So what are you talking about?
Well, what I'm talking about is I think everybody, all of us, is, from the earliest days when we have our smallest kids are like 2 years old and 3 years old, so I get to experience this like every day. They run into novelty and they run into adversity every single moment of their kind of waking life. And so we as humans, we are very much trained when we grow up to deal with adversity and to deal with novelty. Like we fail all the time, we fall down, we can't pronounce words, mom doesn't understand what we're asking for, and so on and so on and so on. And so that's what creates this huge progress as kids is experiencing this adversity. And adversity creates, if it's properly handled, energy, right? It generates vibrancy, it generates aliveness, it generates a desire to overcome, it generates creativity. It's like dealing with adversity means very much being alive. So it's a very powerful force, I think, for all of us to figure out how to harness. And the opposite of it, so if adversity means life and progress, I think comfort is really death, right? Comfort is just towards the path of like being static, nothing changes, it's more of the same, and it's like a slow death, essentially.
Yeah, I love that. I've often thought about, I believe if you're not moving forward, you're in that comfort zone, and that's actually moving backwards, just at a very, very, very slow rate, right? There's the atrophy associated with that. So, we're all born with innate skills, characteristics, that sort of thing, that we did nothing for. We just arrived here with them. And so the hope is that there's mad gratitude for that which you do have, but then there's this subset of things that you want to create as well, right? So talk to us a little bit about that, about how those impact your growth positively or negatively, and how to sort of identify and create the ones that you don't have.
Let me try to understand your question a bit better,
Yep.
like what you mean by that.
So you're born with a certain, let's say there's 15 characteristics or traits.
Your personal traits.
Uh-huh. And you're born with, call 8 of them.
Yeah.
How do those impact your probability of success or failure in your mind? But then also, as you're sort of moving forward and building on those, how do you acquire some of the other ones that you want? Like, what are some of the tools that you would use?
Yeah. Well, I think there's an infinite playground. I think no matter what traits we are born with, and maybe we have some where we have some preferences, there's like this constant argument between nature and nurture. And I think data shows, science shows very clearly that there's an enormous range of flexibility that we have to develop traits and capabilities that maybe we are not the strongest at to begin with. Now, there are limits to that, of course, but the range is enormous. And we definitely have the opportunity in life to enhance the traits that we maybe are already fairly strong at and do better in those, as well as acquire new ones. And the acquiring of new ones, as well as the development of the ones that we already have, they all deal with adversity, essentially. It's the same process, it's the same situation. You have to try something new that you haven't done before in order to get to the next level. There's just no other way. You can't do more of the same. You got to change something. You got to try something new, and that means risking that the first time around it's not going to work out. You're going to deal with failure. You're going to deal with adversity. And in fact, I would say that as an entrepreneur, if you don't have some setbacks where you feel like challenged and frustrated every single day, actually multiple times a day, you are definitely not aiming high enough. Like if your entire day is a constant joyride of like success and everything works out, that means that you are definitely not trying very hard to aim high.
Totally agree. And you talked a little bit just then about success and failure as an entrepreneur, and frankly in life, right?
Yeah.
So you've succeeded a lot, which also then means, in my opinion, by default, you've failed some number of times as well, right? So as it relates to us here today and learning with you, are you comfortable sharing some, maybe one or two of those failures with some level of detail, and how you resolved through those? And you've talked a number of times when we've talked about tools you've created in your life to sort of get yourself out, or once you do, to continue the path of growth. Can you share some of that around a couple of failures or unexpected negative changes?
Well, yeah, absolutely. First of all, I've had tons of failures, and I still have them kind of every day in many different ways. And I've had different types of sorts of failures. I've had sorts of failures that just they're probably easier to deal with when something really, really bad happens that it's completely outside of control, and okay, something kills you. Like I've had deals lost in the very last minute. I had people quit, investors bail out, bad things happening in the family, child getting extremely sick, like all kinds of things that just happen. Where it's clear it's kind of not your fault. But maybe more importantly, and these are, I think, maybe the most important failures, I'd had my own personal failures where it was very clear that it was my behavior, my traits, my way of being that without any shadow of a doubt led to the bad outcome. Whether I was getting fired, I got fired a bunch of times in my career, whether it's like losing a person or losing a relationship or shipping a product that wasn't quite ready. It's just like pretty much all of the above. And maybe the type of failures that I want to pick on, because it's more like a sensitive one, and I think you should pick it. The sensitive one is like failures of like nurturing a relationship well, or showing up in a way that the other person needed me to show up for a colleague, for a team member, and then damaging that relationship. And I could clearly see that that relationship is not as strong as it was before, and it was clearly due to my behavior. And I had that happen with investors. I had this happen with some of the people who worked on my team, more rarely with customers. And every time I could tell it was just like part of my own behavior, which is like I can be like very direct, more direct than there probably ought to be. And by the way, I don't believe in being just direct for the sake of being direct. I think that's no good, but it comes naturally to me, and it's hurt me. And not only it's hurt me, but I've seen that it actually hurt others.
Yeah.
And I had to realize, like, okay, like this is really me. So I am doing this. It's not the universe, right? It's just me doing it. And I think these are the most important types of adversity problems, the failures, where you look in the mirror and say, yeah, I see the enemy. It's right there. I see the problem.
And it's hard to see that image, right? For human
It's
nature,
very
it's
hard
difficult.
to see. Yeah.
It's difficult to admit, and it's really easy to blame this thing is happening. Clearly, it's because of one of these other things that I'm the victim of, right?
Yeah, and I can tell you that over the years I've developed tools that are, I think, very simple and extremely effective, and I want to share with some of you here today, and maybe we'll do also a little exercise, that have helped me make positive changes. Like really profound positive changes, and things that are important to me that I wanted to change, and those tools are magic. They work very well. We have them built into us as kids, but over time they kind of get trained out of us. I think that the society and the school system and some of the corporate system is extremely good at training out of us some of the most valuable natural skills and traits that we have as kids.
Totally agree. Totally.
So,
and it's unintentional, right? But it happens.
Yeah. So I'm paying attention to the clock.
Yeah.
One suggestion that I can make is I'll share a tool right now, and if you want, we can have some fun with this here in the room, because kind of all of you can practice it right now, and we can practice it right now, and you can practice it.
Yeah.
Maybe I can practice it too, and see how it goes. But
Let's do it so we can stand up and see people.
Yeah. So I don't know if any of you guys have this challenge where there is something that you want to do, but you're just not tackling it. Or it's a problem that's festering that I have this problem and it's been a problem for a year and I haven't done anything about it. Or I want to move in a certain direction with my career or with my life, but I'm not doing it. I'm stuck, right? You're looking at the mountain and just the mountain feels too high, too tall, too scary. And then nothing happens. I certainly had that a million times. Now, probably the most powerful tool that I've discovered, and it works every single time without fail, and my family is using it too, is super simple. And it goes like this, is just begin. Just begin. Whatever your big challenge is, your mountain, your problem, the thing that you're afraid of, just look for the tiniest possible step, this small, that you can take in that direction and do it now. That's all. The smallest possible step that you can come up with. And do it right now. And then give yourself permission to stop right there. You don't need to take another step and another step and another step. Now, what you'll find, 9 out of 10 times, is that actually you will have unblocked something. And that super tiny step has generated energy for you, has generated courage, confidence, energy. You're building your own superpower, your courage and energy to take the next step and go further. And you can do this over and over and over again until it's like second nature for you. And the mountain doesn't look that tall anymore. So what I want to suggest is to have some fun with this right now and to take like 60 seconds. And all of you can think of what's your problem? What's bothering you? What's the mountain? What's the email you don't want to write? What's the project you don't want to start? What is the thing you don't want to say? Whatever that is, think of it and take the smallest possible step towards it, like this minute, in the next 60 seconds. And then see what happens. And it can be as little as opening up your phone and putting the subject line in the email. You don't even put the destination of the person. Let's say you want to have a very difficult conversation with a colleague. You always want to take that person, look, the way you approach meeting with me sucks. It really annoys me. This needs to change. But you don't want to have the conversation with the boss or with an investor or whatever. Take out your phone, put the subject line in. That's your tiniest step, or whatever that might be. Or a bill that isn't paid, or a new idea that isn't written down. You get the point. Do you guys want to do this right now and then see what happens for the next 60 seconds?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's go for it. So let's start the clock now.
We just started it.
Okay, there we go.
Well, I like this. There's a lot of heads down on Tyton, Adrian. Thirty seconds remain. All right, that's time. So by raise of hands, who was able to come up with something helpful as a first step? Okay, fantastic.
Oh, quite a few.
Yeah. So who is willing to have the mic brought to them really quickly and share what their concern is and that first step to resolve it? Not as many hands, Adrian.
Anybody? It's like, if you want, say what the mountain is, and what's the first step that you came up with? Anybody? I'm sure there are people here who want to share this.
I'm looking hard.
No?
No, I'm not seeing it.
Or don't say what the mountain is. Just tell us the first step. Or tell us how it felt. Let's make it a little bit easier. Tell us how it felt to deal with this. Philip.
I was dealing with a small technical emergency after that.
Okay.
It felt very good to have it resolved and out of the way.
Okay. Mhm. Okay, cool. So, I mean, we will not make you guys do this if you don't want to do it. But maybe this by itself shows how big of a challenge this is, right? And how common of a problem is that we all deal with. So we only have like 40 seconds left, and we want to be respectful of everybody's time.
Yeah, Natalia will be big mad if we're late.
Yeah. So I really want to maybe share this. This is from my personal journey, but I've observed it in all my friends and all my colleagues who I think are much more accomplished than I am. It's like literally every day in the entrepreneurial journey is about dealing with challenges. And it's perfectly possible to create your own inner mindset that's going to make that incredibly joyful for yourself, where the experience itself of dealing with problems and dealing with adversity generates energy for you, generates joy for you. And what I want to leave you with is to consider that this is incredibly valuable. It's something that it's worth aspiring to. That is more valuable than having $1 billion or many other things in life. Just developing this inner mindset where the adversity and the setbacks generate energy for you, generate joy for you. That's going to unlock completely new opportunities in your life, and it's going to make your day-to-day experience as an entrepreneur much more rewarding.
Thank you very much, Adrian. Can we give this guy a hand?